This is part 4 of the lecture on adjusted odds ratio. PDFs of 2 papers from American Journal of Epidemiology have been posted as logistic regression examples. Please skim the papers with attention to the presentation of adjusted odds ratios. This paper analyzes effects of cigarette smoking during pregnancy on the risk of stillbirth and that of infant mortality using data from Denmark. This table shows relation between maternal smoking and stillbirth. The table looks a little complicated because results of several logistic regression analyses were put together into one table. So, for now, let's just look at the difference between mothers who did not smoke during the second and third trimester of pregnancy and those who did. This table shows both unadjusted and adjusted odds ratios. The logistic regression analyses included several potential confounders, parity, sex of the child, maternal age, and so on, which are listed in the note at the bottom of the table. But beta estimates for those variables are not shown, and only the results about the factor of interest, maternal smoking, are shown. The unadjusted odds ratio of stillbirth, between those who smoked during the second and third trimester of pregnancy, and those who did not, was 2.0. So, according to the bivariate analysis, about smoking during the second and third trimesters of pregnancy, the odds of stillbirth for smokers were twice as high as the odds for non-smokers. The corresponding adjusted odds ratio, from multivariate logistic regression, was 1.9, so the control for those potentially confounding factors did not change the odds ratio very much. These variables seem strongly related to the risk of stillbirth but would not exert strong confounding effects if they are not very closely related with smoking. This table shows 95% confidence intervals for the unadjusted and adjusted odds ratios. P-values are not shown, but the statistical significance at the 0.05 level is indicated from whether the confidence interval includes 1.0 or not. In this case, since neither one of these intervals include 1.0, both odds ratios were statistically significant at the 5% level. This table shows similar results for the risk of infant death. The results seem to suggest that smoking after the 15th week of pregnancy nearly doubles the risk of infant death. This paper is a study about inflammation of esophagus and Barrett's esophagus in the UK. Barrett's esophagus raises the risk of cancer of esophagus, and its risk is known to be relatively high among Caucasian men. This is somewhat unusual, because for many diseases, Caucasians are a relatively low-risk group. In this study, the risk was analyzed in relation to 4 factors: age, gender, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. The table shows unadjusted and adjusted odds ratios, and their 95% confidence intervals. We see very strong risk factor effects here. Odds for men was 2.5 times as high as that for women. Odds for white Caucasian is about 10 times as high as that of South Asian, the reference category. And higher socioeconomic status is associated with higher odds of Barrett's esophagus. Adjusted odds ratios show that the multivariate analysis has weakened the association of the disease with ethnicity and socioeconomic status, probably because these two factors are strongly associated with each other. But even so, these odds ratios are still high, and associations look quite strong. This shows the results of a similar analysis, but now the dependent variable is the general inflammation of esophagus. Gender, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status seem related to the risk of esophagitis as well, but not as strongly as they are related to the risk of Barrett's esophagus. These are examples of presentation of logistic regression results, in the form of adjusted odds ratios, in comparison with unadjusted odds ratios. This concludes the lecture on the adjusted odds ratio.